ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। कूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविता शाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकिकोकिलम्। मनोजवं मारुततुल्यवेगं जितेन्द्रियं बुद्धिमतां वरिष्ठं वातात्मजं वानरयूथमुख्यं श्रीरामदूतं शिरसा नमामि। दक्षिणे लक्ष्मणो यस्य वामे च जनकात्मजा पुरतो मारुतिर्यस्य तं वन्दे रघुनन्दनम्। Sorry, I'm a little excited and apprehensive at the same time. Excited because it is Hanumanji meeting Sri Ramachandra. Apprehensive because it's Hanumanji meeting Sri Ramachandra. And my inability to convey the beauty of this incident. I feel like a person who wants to convey but doesn't have the ability to speak. So there is an internal frustration, and I hope that you will kindly overlook that and accept whatever little that I'm able to. Ideally, every little word that Valmiki has written is nectarian. Generally, I don't share any slides or show you the slokas because just not my style. But today I'm going to show you those slokas from chapter 3. First of all, it's a lot of extra work for me, which I'm a lazy guy. I don't like to do all that work. But I wanted you to see the verses just so that we can relish the beauty of Valmiki's realizations, of Hanumanji's realizations that's coming to us and coming through a very tiny catheter like my ability. Okay. Still, I hope you will accept it regardless. So let's see if this will work. There you go. There, I hope you can see the screen. So we're going to start with chapter 3. I'm going to take you verse by verse. There's a lot to cover, so please be patient. I may not be able to cover everything. Okay. So chapter 3 begins with Vacho Vignaya Hanuman Sugrivasya Mahatmanaha Parvatad Rushamukatu Upluve Yatra Raghavav. Having heard the words of Sugriva, the great Sugriva, Mahatmanaha, Hanuman Vigyaya, Sugrivasya Vigyaya, appeal by Sugriva, Hanuman heard it and jumped, Upluve, he leaped or leapt from one mountain, from Rishyamukha, to a place very near where the two Raghus were, Raghava, so the two Raghavas were together. Then, before he meets Ramachandra, Kapirupam Parityajya Hanuman Marutatmajaha Bhikshu Rupan Tato Bheje Shatabuddhita Shatabuddhitaya Kapihi. Hanuman gave up his monkey form, who is the son of Marut, or wind god. And he took on the form of a sannyasi, Bhikshu Rupan Tato Bheje. He accepted that. But what was the intent? Shata Buddhitaya. Shata means deception. So when we go to a temple, after the arti, the pujari puts on our head this little crown-like thing with shoes of the Lord. And that is called Shata Kopa. Shata means deception, Kopa means anger. So the feet of the Lord, when they touch us, our deceptive deceptive mentality goes away. Shatakopam. So Hanuman had a deceptive mentality, not to deceive the Lord, but the deception means he's under disguise. He doesn't want to reveal who he is. So he comes as a sannyasi, because sannyasis are easily, in Vedic culture, sannyasis are very trustworthy. And so whatever they say and speak and do is fully trustworthy. Therefore, Ravana came as a sannyasi to gain Sita's trust. Indra, when stealing Prithu Maharaj's sacrificial horse, came as different sannyasis from different lines, but different traditions, but a sannyasi. And here Hanuman also has come as a sannyasi, because sannyasi means one's guards are down. One can easily trust a sannyasi. Next, Tata sa Hanuman vacha slakshanaya sumanognyaya. This is where Hanuman's words are being filled with, Valmiki is giving adjectives. Vinitavad upagamya raghavo pranipatya cha abhavashe tada virau yathavat prashashamsa cha. Now, before I get into this verse, I want all of us to focus on Bhagavad Gita chapter 4, text number 34. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnanina tattvadarshana. So the first two lines are for the servant. The second two lines are for the master. So as a disciple or as a servant, one should approach those who know tattva, tattvadarshinaha, with these three characteristics. We know this very much. Pranipat, pariprashna, and sevaya. In this verses, or in this verse, let's see if you can see all the three being there. Tatas Hanuman vachaha, Hanuman spoke, slakshanaya su manogyaya. Manogyaya means something that is so pleasing to the mind. And slakshanaya, filled with humility and respect. And vinitavad upagamya. Vinita means very, very humble. Vidya vinaya sampanne. Vinita. Vinitad upagamya raghav. Raghava, he reached both Rama and Lakshmana. Then pranipatyacha, he is a sannyasi. They are kshatriyas dressed as ascetics, but Hanuman offers obeisances. Pranipata, pranipatya. Cha. Then abhavashe tada viro. Then he spoke to, or he inquired from Pariprashna, Virav, these two heroes, Yathavat Prashasamsacha, in a way that is suitable and glorifying and appreciative. So the word pranipata, we hear it many times. So let's unpack it. Nipata, patita means fallen. Pata means to fall. Nipata means to fall fully. And when the prefix pra is added, pranipata means dandavats, arms stretched out, legs also stretched out, full, the entire body touching the ground. Pranipata and pariprashna. He's asking. Now, before he asks these words, Valmiki says, Sampuja vidhivat virav. Vidhivat means as it is appropriate to serve them. Sampuja, he worshipped them. And this is the sevaya part. Hanuman marutatmajaha uvacha kamato vakyan mridyu satya parakrama. He spoke in a very gentle, soft, meek, humble manner. Mridu vakyan. And these two are satya parakrama, the ones who win over everyone by their own truthfulness. So the words satya parakrama, because Hanuman is in a deceptive, or is in disguise. So it is Valmiki setting up for us that Hanuman's deception or disguise may not last too long. And this is what Hanumanji said, Rajarshi Deva Pratimau Tapasau Samsita Vratau Desham Katham Praptau Bhavantau Varna Varavarninau Trasyantau Mrigaganan Anyanscha Vanacharinaha. He says, when I look at you, you look like forest dwellers, Vanacharinaha. I'm sorry, Tapasau Samsita Vrata. You both look like ascetics because Ramachandra and Lakshmana are only wearing one piece of cloth, the two jute cloth, covered with deer skin, hair matted, no ornaments, but carrying bow and arrow. So he says, you look like ascetics, you're dressed like ascetics. However, Raja Rishi Deva Pratima, you look like great Kshatriyas, because Hanuman is scanning the forms of Rama and Lakshmana. Deva Pratima, your effulgence is like great demigods. Deshan Katham Imam Prapta. Why have you come to this place? Varnina, you are the best among the best that can be glorified. And by your moving here with bow, arrow, quiver, swords in your hands, Trasayanto Mrigaganan, the animals that are living here seem to be scared of you. Anyamscha Vanacha, and the other forest dwellers, including some other sages or monkeys and bears and tigers, they're all thrust into, they're sort of scared. They're under some distress because of you. Maybe I should tell you the inner meaning also right now. Okay. These words of Hanuman externally are very obvious what he's asking. But internally, they are hidden words of or phrases from the Vedas, the Rig, Sama, and Yajur Vedas that glorify the Supreme Lord. For example, we hear in the Purusha Sukta, Vedaham etam Purusham Mahantam, like that. So these are all hidden words. When he says Rajarshi Deva Pratimao, he's telling them that you seem like you belong to this world, you're behaving like this, but you don't belong to this world. Apaurusheya, you are from a different realm altogether. So he's recognizing them as the supreme personalities of Godhead. And then he says, Pampa Tira Ruhan Vrikshan Vikshamanau Samantataha Imam Nadim Shubhajalam Shobhayanto Tapasvinau Dhairyavantu Suvarnabhau Kau Yuvan Chiravasasau Nishwasantau Varabhujau Pidayantam Iva Prajaha. I notice that you are gazing, Vikshamanau Samantataha, in a very full, careful way, all the trees and the area around Pampa Tira. Pampa Tira means on the banks of the Pampa. Imam Nadim Shubha Jalam, because you seem to be appreciating the area very much. However, you have the same complexion, very shining, brilliant complexion, like the clear water of this Pampa Nadi. Now, Pampa Nadi or lake is considered to be the collection of all the holy waters. Now, all the holy rivers are an extension of the milk ocean. And when he says your resplendence is similar to the Pampa river, he's saying that you are the supreme personalities that actually belong or who are lying down or who are from the milk ocean. And Dhairyavanto, you are definitely very Kshatriya like, that is obvious. Suvarnabhav, golden effulgence from you. Although Ramachandra is noticing one is dark in complexion, the other is very golden in complexion. However, their effulgence is golden. Suvarnabhav, Kau Yuvan Chiravasasau. Why are you dressed in jute cloth? Nishwasanto Varabhujo. Nishwasanto. Nishwasa means to let out, to breathe out, to sigh, like that. You're checking out the place. Varabhujo. You have excellent arms. Pidayantam iva praja. And you are scaring all the forest dwelling entities, because the idea of fear means that your presence is so overwhelming that the forest dwellers recognize that you're not one among them. Now, up until this time, Ramachandra and Lakshmana, when they're walking for 13 some years in the forest, all the deer, the birds, the rabbits, even the tigers and bears came to them and they were not scared of them. But when they are searching through Kishkindha Rajyam, that area, because they are moving with a sense of gravity, the other animals are scared to come close to them. And he says, Simha Viprekshitau Viro. Simha Viprekshitau. Your glance, your gaze is like that of lions. Viro. You're very, very heroic. Mahabala Vikramo. I can see that you are very, very strong. And Vikrama means you have great, intense steps. The way you're walking with great confidence. Shakra Chapa Nibhe Chape. You're holding Chape Grihitva. You are holding these very powerful bows in your hand. Shatru Sudanau. And any of your enemies who become very scared by you. Shrimantau Rupa Sampannau. Shrimantau. You are full of opulences. Rupa Sampannau. Greatest form that you have. Very, very beautiful. When we, every day when we greet the deities, we glorify the extremely beautiful forms of the Lord. And he says, Vrishabha Shrestha Vikrama. You're walking like the king of bulls. And Hastistopabhujao. Your arms are long and shaped like that of trunks of elephants. Dyutimantau, full of effulgence. Narashabhav. Nara Rishabhav. You are the best among human beings, or best among those who have human form. So he's telling them, you look like human beings, but it seems like you're not. So he's very quickly picking up that these are the Supreme Lords. Prabhaya, by your radiance. Parvata Indroyam. Yuva Yorvabhashitaha. Rajarhavam Aprakhyau Katham Deshamivagato. You are very young and radiant like the gods, the translation says. This king of mountains, Rishamukha, is reflecting back your own brilliance. Although you should be kings, why are you here in the forest? You're not in your own abode. So the Supreme Lord, you belong in the spiritual world. What are you doing here? Padmapatrikshanau Viro Jatamandaladharinau. You have very, very big lotus-like eyes. Viro Jatamandaladharinau. Because he's calling them Viro again and again, because he's a servant and they are his masters. And you have Jata on top of your head. Anyonya Sadrushau Viro Devaloka Divagato. Anyonya Sadrushau. You match each other in your uh, in your opulences. Deva Loka, you belong to the world of the Devas. And Ivagata, it seems you have come here. Yadrichayeva sampraptau Chandra Suryau Vasundharam. Somehow by the work of providence, providentially, it seems that you have arrived here. And both of you are like Chandra Surya, the sun and the moon. Similar verses we quote for Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, because they're Rama Lakshmana also. Vasundharam, you've appeared on the earth here. Vishala Vakshau, your chest is very broad. Viro, again and again he's calling them Viro. Manushau, Devarupinau, although you are human beings, but actually you're demigods. Simhaskandhau Mahotsahau. Simhaskandha, your shoulders are like that of lions. Mahotsahau. And very energetic bull. Samadab eva Govarushav. Your broad chest, warrior-like, divine beings, somehow walking like human beings. There is a particular word that I'm looking for that I want you to catch if it is there. 1 second. Not yet. Then he says, Ayatascha suvritascha bahavaha parighopamaha sarvabhutascha na bhutascharaha kimartham na vibhushitaha. So here's a catchword that commentators have a great time talking about. He says, your long arms, ayatascha suvritascha, bahavaha parighopamaha, parigha upamaha. Your arms are like parighas, clubs, or very, very strong arms. And he uses the word bahavaha. So that is the trick word here, because bahu means one word, one arm. Bahu with a long u means two, because in Sanskrit you have 1, 2, and more than 2. And multiple arms is bahavaha. So, although he's addressing both of them, he's saying bahavaha, many arms that he's seeing. Yeah, ayatascha, very long, powerful arms. Sarva bhushanarhaha kimartham na vibhushitaha. Although your body must be full of ornaments, you're not wearing any ornaments. Why is that? So let's take the second line first. When he's looking at their forms, he's relishing their beauty and saying that you're not wearing any ornaments. In fact, the reason the Acharya said he's saying this is, ornaments are put on the Supreme Lord to tone down his beauty. Actually, human beings put on ornaments to accentuate or to put on a beauty that may not exist. However, in the case of the Supreme Lord, they put on ornaments to tone it down. Otherwise, as they say in Hindi, nazar lag jayegi. So he's able to see the forms of the Lord without any ornaments, and he's saying, wow, your body parts themselves are the ornaments. In fact, when you put a jewel on top, the jewel becomes glorified because of this. Okay. And then he says, bahavaha, because this is where there are different meanings. One, the fact that he's not saying bahu, because each of them has 2 arms. Now, one meaning is he's talking to them together. So 2 arms of Lord Ramachandra, 2 arms of Lakshmana is 4. So Bahavaha. That's one application of that word. Another is the secret, according to Govindaraja's commentary, Srivan Govindaraja's commentary, that Bahavaha means Hanuman can see Sri Ramachandra and Lakshmana in 4-armed forms. While they are standing in front of him, in 2 arms, he's able to see their 4-armed forms. Therefore, the word Bahavaha. And then he goes back to Ubhau Yogyavaham Manye Rakshitum Prithvim Imam Sasagara Kritsnam Vindhyameru Bhushitam. He says, when I look at you, Ubhau, together, I believe that Rakshitum Prithvim Imam, that you should rule over the entire planet. Which means, Ramachandra, you are Bhumipati. You're the Supreme Lord. Bhumi Devi is your consort. Sasagara Vanan Kritsnan, not just the earth, but the entire planet along with its oceans and forests. Kritsnam, completely. Vindhyam, Meru Vibhushitam. And the earth is decorated with Vindhya and Meru. Imecha dhanushi chitre slashne chitranulepane prakasheste yathendrasya vajre hema vibhushite. And he says, I see that you are smeared with beautiful sandalwood paste and other forest herbs, because that's how Abhishek for the Supreme Lord is performed. And your bows look very attractive. Chitre ime dhanushi. And they are glowing. Yatha indrasya vajre. They are glowing like Indra's thunderbolt. Hema vibhushite. Golden effulgence coming out of your bows as well. Which means, I've never seen anything like this in the material world. You belong to the spiritual world. Sampurnya nishitair bane. I see that your quivers are filled with arrows. Stunashcha shubhadarshanaha. And they're very beautiful to look at. Jivitantakarir ghorehi swasadbhireva pannagaihi. And your arrows are hissing like deadly snakes. Now, what is Hanuman doing? Hanuman is drinking in through his eyes the form of the Supreme Lord. When we greet the deities, we say Venum Kwanantam Aravinda Dalayataksham Barhavatam Samasitam Buddhasundarangam Kandarpakoti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Very exactly similar. Now he's describing he is taking darshan of Rama and Lakshmana. That your arms are like this, your eyes are beautiful, your face, the jata on your head, your forms, the weapons that you're carrying. Now he's describing how the arrows look. They look like deadly snakes that are hissing. Mahapramano vistirno tatha tapta hatta ka bhushito. Tapta hataka bhushito. He says, the swords that are in your hand are very huge and sharp. And they are khadga veto virajete nirmuktav ivapannago. And they're slithering in your hands like snakes. They're brilliant because they are encrusted with gold and jewels on them. Because it's not an ordinary sword, it's the sword of the Supreme Lord. Evam mam paribhashantam kasmad vai nabhibhashatah. He said, I've been speaking all this while. How come you're not saying a word to me? Naturally, he's talking. And then Up in this while, remember, he's in disguise. He wants to find out who they are, but he's not giving them a chance to speak. They are not speaking at all. They're silently standing. And now he says, Sugrivo nama dharmatma kaschit vanara yuthapaha viro vinikrito bhrata jagad brahmati dukkhitaha. And then now slips out of Hanuman's mouth the reality. He says, there's a great soul called Sugriva. And he is the king of all the Vanaras. Vanara Yuthapa. Sugrivo Nama. His name is Sugriva. Veera. He's also very, very strong. And Vinikrito Bhrata. His brother kicked him out. And Jagat Brahmati. He's wandering around this land. Dukkhitaha. Completely sad. Aha Prabhu Nityananda. Premananda Sukhi, Kripavalokana Karo, Ami Boro Dukhi. Then he says, Prapto Aham Preshitastena. Prapto Aham. I have arrived here because Preshitastena. He sent me. Preshita means to send. He sent me here. Sugrivena. Because of Sugriva's order, I have come here. Ragya Vanara Mukhyanan Hanuman Nama Vanaraha. Oh, by the way, I'm not a sannyasi. And his disguise went away. I am a monkey. I'm Vanaraha. And my name is Hanuman. Hanuman was supposed to be the best minister in under perfect disguise in front of Rama and Lakshmana. Cannot keep his disguise anymore. Because remember that word, Shathabuddhitaya. Because he had a deceptive idea. Deceptive means he was in disguise. But in front of the Supreme Lords, whose disguise can stay? A practical application is any person may appear to the world in different ways, and people may say, oh, so great, he speaks so well, he sings so well, she does this, he does that. In front of others, a mask can be put and others can see the mask. But when one is standing in front of the Supreme Lord, even if one own self is in denial about what's there in their heart, they can clearly scan and know who we are. So Hanumanji now, out of his sannyas vesha, says, Hanuman Nama Vanaraha. I am a monkey. I cannot hold on to this disguise in front of you anymore. Yuvabhyam Sahadharmatma. Both of you are great personalities. Sugrivas Sakhyam Ichchati. Please, Sugriva would like to make friendship with you. And I would like you to make friendship with Sugriva. Tasya Mam Sachivam Vittam. I am his minister and advisor. Vanaram Pavanatmajam. And I am the son of the wind god. Bhikshurupa Pratichannam. I had taken this disguise of a sannyasi. Sugriva Priyakamyaya, because of a sweet or internal desire of Sugriva. Rishyamukadiha Praptam Kamagam Kamarupinam. And around this Rishyamukha mountain, I am disguised, but I can assume any form I want. Kamagam Kamarupinam. I can take any form I want. Eva muktva tu Hanumanam stav Viro Rama Lakshmano Vakya Gyo Vakya Kushalaha Purno Vacha Kinchana. Eva muktva. Having said all this, Hanuman, unto Rama and Lakshmana, the great warriors, Vakya Gyo, who knows exactly what to speak. He is the expert at speech. And both of them also, Vakya Kushalaha, they are also very, very expert. Purna Ovacha. He had finished what he had to say. And Purna Avacha Kinchana. And then he just stood there silently waiting for them to respond. And guess what? They're not responding. They're just looking at him. He's waiting. He's waiting for them to say something. Etat chutva vachatasya Ramo Lakshmanam Abravit. Prahashtavadanashram Shriman Bhrataram Parshvatah Sthitham. Excellent, excellent verse. Hanuman has been speaking to Ramachandra and Lakshmana. Ramachandra, who heard what Hanuman spoke, guess what? Did not even respond to Hanuman. He turned to Lakshmana. Ramo Lakshmanam Abravit. And where was Lakshmana standing? Parshvatah Sthitam. He's standing right next to Ramachandra. Now, in terms of etiquette, if someone is speaking to you, you're supposed to respond to them. But Ramachandra turns to Lakshmana and speaks to him. So one may wonder, why? When Ramachandra is so particular about etiquette, why? One, Ramachandra is following perfect etiquette. Hanuman has come as Sugriva Sachiva, as a messenger or a servant of Sugriva. And because Ramachandra is the king, Ramachandra will address his assistant Lakshmana and tell him, you speak. So that's one reason. Second reason is about to come up, and I will tell you soon. And so Hanuman is thinking, hey, he's not speaking to me, he's speaking to Lakshmana. And what did Ramachandra feel from what Hanuman spoke? Prahashta. Prahrishta. Hrishta means joy, delight. Prahrishta. Completely delighted. Vadana Shriman. Vadana Shriman. Very, very beautifully created and spoken words. Then Ramachandra is speaking to Lakshmana. He says, Sachivo ayam kapindrasya sugrivasya mahatmanaha. This person is the minister and advisor of the great Sugriva. Tameva kankshamanasya mamantikam upagataha. Just because we wanted to meet Sugriva, we have come to this place and see who we meet, Lakshmana. We meet the very advisor and minister of Sugriva. Then he says, Tamabhyabhasha saumitre. Tam abhyabhasha. Oh Lakshmana, please reply to him. Saumitre. Sugrivascha sachivam kapim. This monkey who's the advisor of Sugriva. Vakyagyam. He knows how to speak. He's an expert at speech. Madhurair vakyai sneha yuktam arindama. Oh Lakshmana, the killer of enemies, be careful. He is madhurair vakyai. He is speaking very, very sweet words and sentences. And sneha yuktam, full of friendship, he's inviting. But be careful. And that's what the word arindama. Sneha, arindama. Although you are a generally suspicious person because you're very possessive and protective of me, be careful in how you respond to him. And then is that famous verse of Ramachandra glorifying Hanumanji. Generally, we hear the other way around. Devotees glorifying the Supreme Lord. Here the Supreme Lord is glorifying his own devotee. Na Rigveda Vinitasya, na Yajurveda Dharinaha, na Samaveda Vidusha Shakyamevam Vibhashitum. That one, unless one is extremely well versed, the translation says well versed, but we'll look into the words of it. Well versed in Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, and Sama Veda, one cannot speak like this. Now, this shloka is all in double negatives. Na Rig Veda Vinitasya, na Yajur Veda Dharina, na Samaveda Vidusha Shakyam Evam Vibhashitum. Why double negatives? Ramachandra could have just spoken in positive that this person, Hanuman, is Rig Veda Vinitasya, Yajur Veda Dharinaha, Samaveda Vidushaha. But what happens with that is there can be many others who are also well studied and well endowed with the quality to speak because of their study of the Vedas. So Hanuman can be one among them. But when you put double negatives, that means Hanuman is exclusive. That is the purpose of speaking this way. That means there is no one in comparison to Hanuman in his ability and his study of the Vedas. So let's look at, for Rig Veda, one needs humility, vinitasya. So without being humble, one cannot study Rig Veda. Why? The humility is Rig Veda. I'm not an expert, so I only know a little bit of what it means. Rig Veda is something that is heard again and again and again from the spiritual master and repeated. So you see students repeating and chanting Rig Veda mantras. So to learn Rig Veda from the Guru with every little syllable that is intonated properly, pronounced properly, without humility, one cannot hear clearly. Only when one is humble, one can hear the words and understand the meanings of those shlokas properly. So he has to be very, very humble for understanding Rig Veda. For Yajurveda, dharina means to hold, right? We study in Bhagavad Gita, dhyana, dharana, samadhi. Dharana, dhyana, samadhi, however. Dharina, to hold in his memory. Once he hears something, he holds it. And because he holds the phrases, the words of the Yajurveda, he can go from any part of one Veda to any other part of the Veda without without missing any meaning or the purpose of those mantras. And also dharina means he is very, very sense controlled. This is Ramachandra's CT scan report of Hanumanji. Dharina, his senses are very, very controlled, because without sense control, we know Prabhupada tells us in first canto of Bhagavatam, 3rd chapter, verse 43, I think, that one cannot hold in one's mind. Mind cannot be sharp with memory without sense control. And so Yajurveda Dharina means his mind is very, very sense controlled. Na Samaveda Vidusha. Vidusha is expert. What is the expertise in Samaveda? Samaveda is full of sound, music, and melody to convey emotions. Therefore, ragas are sung in a way to evoke certain emotions and convey certain emotions. And one who doesn't know Samaveda well cannot. So there are the notes, and I'm not at all skilled with singing, so I'm not going to sing, but the notes are sung in a way, in precise pitch or whatever, because they have to evoke a certain emotion in speech. Because if someone just speaks like, I'm very happy to see you, that doesn't convey any emotion. In fact, perhaps conveys the opposite. So Ramachandra is continuing with his scanning of Hanumanji. I won't be able to finish today, sorry. Nunam vyakaranam kritsnam anena bahuda shrutam bahu vyaharatanena na kinchid apashabditam. Lakshmana, I can tell you, Nunam, for sure, I'm definitive. Vyakaranam kritsnam anena bahuda shrutam. This Hanuman has heard grammar, vyakaranam, grammar, kritsnam anena. He has heard many, many grammars and heard it many, many times. Bahudha shrutam. So he is an excellent, excellent student. because his language, his holdover language is so fantastic. I can tell you that he has studied the Nava Vyakarana, the grammar, the 9 different grammars of Sanskrit. He is excellent. And how do I know? Bahu Vyaharta Anena. He has spoken so much. Na kinchit, not even once, apashabditam, was there a wrong pronunciation or utterance of a wrong word. Every word was perfect. Every word was applicable. Everything was in its right place, spoken perfectly. Now, Lakshmana, not only his speech, I observed how he delivered his speech. Namukhe netroyor api lalate cha bhruvos tatha. I observed his mukha, his face, netrayor api, and his eyes, lalate, his forehead, bhruvos tatha, his eyebrows. Because when we speak, our forehead, eyebrows, face, eyes, they convey something non-verbal. Ramchandra said, I've read that also. Anveshvabi and other bodily signals. Chagatreshu, Anyechu Gatreshu, in his form. He's not nervous, he's not scratching himself, he's not, jittery. Dosha sam anviditaha kvachit. I don't find any flaw. Avastaram asamdigdham avalambitam adrutam. So there are 4 words here. Urastham kanthagam vakyam vartate madhyame sware. Now let's look at Hanuman's speech. Avistaram. Vistara means like this. He didn't speak too many words. He is very eloquent. Asandigdham. They are very, very refined. Avalambitam. He didn't stretch his speech to in a way that is so drudged. I have come to meet you. Nothing like that. Avalambitam. Not stretched out. Adrutam. Adrutam means, but he was also not very fast. He didn't speak. Some of, especially Indian people, myself included, have a tendency to speak very fast and we eat up our words. So adrutam, not very fast. Perfect speed. Urastham, the words Hanuman spoke came from his navel. Sometimes we hear that, hey, that guy only does lip service. Means he speaks words that come from the lips. That means it's not deep. It's not coming from his core. But words that we genuinely mean, we say, I'm speaking from my heart. Ideally, the sound has to come from the navel. Urastham kanthagam vakyam vartade. Some words came from his navel and some from his throat. That means his voice modulation was perfect. And madhyame sware vartate. And whatever he spoke in madhyama. So I'm not a music expert. There are music experts on this forum. I'm sure they can say sa re ga ma, madhyama. And that is considered to be the gentlest and sweetest. So madhyame sware, he spoke at that tone. Samskara krama sampanna amadrutam avalambitam ucharayanti kalyanim vacham hridaya harinim. His words stole away my heart. Or his words are, he has the ability to speak in such a way they can steal anybody's heart. Ucharayanti kalyanim vacham. He spoke in such a way that his words are very auspicious. Just to hear them, even if he's chastising, not here said like that, but if Hanuman is chastising someone, still it is very sweet to hear. Vacham hridaya harinim. And samskara krama sampanna. His way of speaking is full of samskara. You can tell that he's a very, very cultured, refined person. And namadrutam na avalambitam, neither too fast nor too slow. Anaya chitraya vacha. Anaya chitraya, his words are so beautiful and colorful. Tristan avyang avagyayasthaya. And kasya naradhyate chittam udya tasarerarapi. Then he says, his words are coming from three places: from his navel, from his chest or lungs, and from his throat. That means very, very carefully worded. Kasya na aradhyate chittam. And how is it possible that even if he is speaking to an enemy who's holding a sword, such a person, his mind will become very calm when he hears this Hanuman speaking. Evam vidho yasya duto na bhavet parthivasya tu siddhayanti hi kathantasya karyanam gatiyo anagha. O Lakshmana, who are also very, very pure. How can a king, whoever that is, that means Sugriva, who has a messenger like Hanuman, such a person, how can there any desire and any activity not be successful? How is it possible? Katham tasya karyanam gatiyo. How is it possible to not be successful if you have someone like Hanuman? So Ramachandra instructed Lakshmana, who also is an expert at speech. Evam guna gunair yukta. Guna gunair yukta means he has a matching ability. Yasyasyu karya sadhakaha. Tasya siddhyanti sarvartha duta vakyo prachoditaha. Having said this, Ramachandra asked Lakshmana to respond to Hanuman. Now, I said I will tell you another reason why Ramachandra asked Lakshmana to speak. Remember, he said, Nunam Vyakarana Kritsam. Nunam Vyakaranam Kritsam Anena Bahuda Shrutam. Hanuman is an excellent, well-studied Sanskrit scholar. Not just Sanskrit, scholar. Now, who's the teacher of Sanskrit? Patanjali. And Patanjali learned all of Sanskrit language to give to humanity from Lord Ananta. So Ramachandra is turning to Lakshmana, Ananta, to say, that is a student, you are the teacher, you should speak. That is the hidden meaning according to Govindaraja. And in a few verses, the chapter ends. So I'm not going to go through all the verses, but I'll end the chapter soon. Then Lakshmana spoke. Oh, great Hanuman, we have heard about Sugriva, right? And we are really looking forward to meeting him. So whatever you're speaking on behalf of Sugriva, we are very, very happy to receive. We want to make friendship with Sugriva. Pleased, very, very happy with what Lakshmana spoke. Hanuman then decided to make friendship with Ramachandra and Lakshmana. And that's where the chapter ends. Any questions, comments? I sort of went all the way, so we have some time. I'm sorry, I could have just narrated this to you, but that would have been my words, and I didn't feel it right. So sorry if it was a little boring with the Sanskrit part or you disconnected. I beg you for forgiveness, but I thought this was the best way to convey it. Any comments, questions, concerns? You want to share any realization or reflection you have hearing Hanumanji's words? Anyone wants to learn how to speak, public speaking, deliver a class, speak to an audience, Just meditate on Hanumanji's great qualities that Ramachandra has identified. And I'm sure that gift will come.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. You
Hari
able
Bol,
to hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Prabhu, towards the end, you mentioned that Ramachandra is telling Hanuman's word is, from the bottom of his bosom, from his throat, and from his head, all are in unison. Is this an indication that his intentions and his feelings and his speech all are in unison? Is that what the commentators do say?
Some commentators say like that. And the idea is that Ramachandra is saying that Hanuman is able to speak this way because he's genuine, first of all. Second, he's an expert. And different words have to be sourced from different places in the body to convey their full intention and weight. Some people are very nasal voices. Some people only speak from here. Some people don't have depth in their speaking ability. Exact. So he's through that. Yes, he's conveying that Hanuman is extremely trustworthy.
And one other thing, thank you, Prabhu. One other thing, it is so hidden here in Valmiki's direct Ramayana that Hanuman is seeing the four-handed form of the Supreme Lord. The question that often comes here is, Valmiki started writing the Ramayana. It's not like by the time he composed it, it's not like Ravana was still present. So why not speak directly about the glories of the Supreme Lord? Give more direct instructions. Why is it so indirect? Or is it that the Ramayana has a few more verses which we don't have access to, which gives us details of the superlateness of the Supreme Lord directly?
First of all, he's writing in the mood of the Supreme Lord. So Valmiki actually goes to great extent to not reveal Ramachandra's divinity, except one or two places. All the other Ramayana works that came much later assume Ramachandra is the Supreme Personality of Godhead with his divinity in full display, and then write their narrations, including Vyasadeva. Or for that matter, Shukadeva Goswami narrating to Parikshit Maharaj is with the clear idea that that is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but not Valmiki. Valmiki kept very clearly the humanness, or that Ramachandra is the human form. In the human form, a human being. So the entire Valmiki Ramayana is narrated to us as if Ramachandra is a human being, with all the human so-called emotions and the trap of human frailties in Ramachandra. That, he's crying and then Lakshmana has to shake him up and he says, "Oh, thank you, Lakshmana," like that, just as an ordinary human being with extraordinary power. So there are hints, but not. It's to keep in the spirit and mood of Lord Ramachandra. And therefore, the Ramayana begins with Konvasmin Sampratam Loke, who is there in human form with these qualities. And Narada's answer is Naranam, among human beings is Ramachandra. He keeps with the spirit of it. Anything else? I in the narration itself, I gave some practical applications, certain things for our own reflections and I guess self-development. Anything from there? Any application stuff from you? If not, just savor. Let the the aftertaste of hearing about Hanumanji just completely permeate our entire existence. What an amazing, amazing personality meeting Sri Ramachandra. Now, when they meet Sugriva, we'll see a completely different servant, more relatable, in case I would say generally relatable to us, because there is doubt and all of that, which is how for most of us bhakti begins. Okay, if nothing else, thank you. Oh, there's something on text. Okay. Oh, appreciation. Thank you. Someone sent a direct message. I'll read this. I could not stop myself to say most wonderful narration by Valmiki Rishis. Lord Hanuman is my childhood friend. Great. And Guru. Wow, fantastic. And we were having a group of chanting Sundara Kanda every week. Wow, how fortunate. Sorry, not feeling like sharing in the group. Okay, that's fine. I'm completely filled with immense joy and I'm speechless. Well, listening to Hanuman's speech, if it turns us speechless, great. That's amazing. Here's another direct message to me. I mean, I don't know why direct, because I generally don't read text. Okay, my mic is not working. Hanuman says that Sugriva wants to make friends with you. Did Sugriva say this when he sent Hanuman to check on Ram and Lakshmana? No. Sugriva said, who are they? Be careful. Study them to see if they are Vali's messengers. So hidden in that, which Hanuman is expert at picking up, is that if they are not, then they are worthy of making alliances with. So that's the... now, as we all know, there are three kinds of disciples or servants. One, you ask them to do something and they cannot do it perfectly. There's always some flaw in it. The second is you ask them to do something and they're perfect at what they do. And the third one is not only are they perfect at what they do, but they can read the mind of the master and understand the master's intentions as well. And so they know what else to do. So they anticipate the needs of the master is the phrase we're used to. So that is Hanuman. So on behalf of Sugriva is saying, yes, you're worthy of making alliances with. Please come.
Hare Krishna. This is Shivram from Sweta's phone. Hare Krishna. I'm sorry, but I still don't quite understand this aspect of speaking from the navel. I'm sorry, you already explained it, but can you please help me?
Ask a music teacher. You know music. Ask a music teacher when someone is singing, they will tell you get the voice to come from your navel.
Yeah. Okay.
Because that's the genuine voice. That's where the feelings and emotions are. Is our music teacher here on the thing? Why am I talking? Oh, Jyotirmaya. Why
yes,
should we sing from the navel?
Because the sound comes really beautiful. You can, I would say, you can give the full effort. The full output will be there if we sing from the navel. That's what I know, maybe.
Any other music people? Himangi is there. Any others? What's their name? Madhav Priya is there. Music people?
She's left.
Okay. It's full, not half-hearted speech. It's from the core.
Yeah. Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, that is helpful. Okay. I also want to share a small comment that Lord Ramachandra, he he's extolling the virtues of someone. So that means one thing I understood was that he already has seen that this is probably a person in disguise, but he's not getting upset or angry or anything about of that, but he's focusing on all the good things he saw.
Yeah.
And the second thing is that and obviously he's the Supreme Lord, but so he's able to see all of that because his speech is also very much sweet. So
Yeah.
was reflecting on.
It takes one to know one. And we hear about Ramachandra's fine speech and quality of speech in the Balakanda. So as soon as he met Hanuman, he knew. So if we come with a disguise in front of the Supreme Lord and show off that disguise and say certain words, guess what he's looking at? He's scanning us, right? Not as me. All of you are not like that.
Yeah. I also wanted to share that it's so hard to even take up the application point of speaking so nicely like Hanuman, because it is so much up in the air. But I think the general application point I can take away is to try and speak in such a way that it is pleasing to the Supreme Lord. So that's
yes.
what
And before we speak, maybe if you have to go and speak in a situation, either you have to resolve a difficult, be in a difficult conversation or address a particular crowd or whatever in our life, just pray to Hanumanji that Ramachandra glorified your speech. So please give me like a tiny atomic empowerment from your speech ability, so that I may remember how to speak, not to speak too fast, not to speak too slow, speak from the core. I mean, all of that to ask Hanumanji to gift us.
That's an amazing application point. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, Varshana Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I had a little anecdote to share. So yesterday we had the good fortune of hearing from Bhakti Sundar Goswami Maharaj here in San Diego.
Oh.
And he was sharing that, so the topic of, the Lord knowing everything, right? So he said his name, the name that Prabhupada gave him was Jnana Chakshudas.
Yes.
And he said, so he was talking about how the Lord knows everything and he was narrating very beautiful pastimes. But this humorous incident with Prabhupada was, it seems a few days before his initiation, Maharaj had gone to the cooler and had taken some burfis and he went to a corner and he ate them. So on the day of the initiation, Prabhupada said, so he gave him the name, but also he said, Krishna is everywhere. And he looked at Maharaj, he pointed at him, he said, if you think you can hide anything from Krishna, he has his eyes everywhere. He can, you can't basically hide any secrets from him. And Maharaj said everybody was looking at him as if, he had done some crime and something in hiding, and Prabhupada found that out. So I just thought I'll share that. I mean, even though it's not directly related to Ramayana, but I thought it beautifully illustrates how, yes, the Lord is like that, and his empowered disciple and devotee also seems to have that quality.
Yeah. He has narrated that when you met him in Chicago as well. Very amazing way he narrates it, because he had hidden and or stolen those burfis and eaten. And then his name was Jnana Chakshu. Thank you for sharing that. All right. Anything final? Otherwise, we'll go. All right. May we all be blessed by Sri Hanumanji. A little tiny dust speck from his lotus feet falls on our head. What can we aspire for more than that? Thank you. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Sri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ji ki jai.